54.
Wow, that's impressive.
54. She's a saint, yes.
Good evening, everybody. We'll call to order August 9th council meeting. Susan, would you please take roll call?
Counselor Halverson.
Present.
Counselor Michelaraha.
Present.
Counselor Fountain.
Here.
Counselor Helba.
Present.
Counselor Lockie.
Here.
Mayor Lance.
Here. Okay, council, we'll look to adopt agenda. We did have a page that was left out, which will follow item number 2 under Stephanie. So just put that benchmark engineering paperwork after page 126, and with the addition of the ply-movement vehicle exhaust system for the public safety building. So with those 2 additions, I would look for a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Councilor Oliva.
Support.
Thank you, Councilor Baki. All in favor? Or further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, council, we do have some public participation this evening, so we will start with Beth Pierce, the Executive Director of Iron Range Tourism. Good evening, Ms. Pierce.
Good evening. Okay, now move. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Pierce, Executive Director of Iron Range Tourism Bureau. I thought I was here with my boss, but I don't see him. He must have still be at the campground, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, Iron Range Tourism Bureau is a nonprofit destination marketing organization. We serve the communities from Hibbing to White Lakes, and of course Chisholm is included. We're funded primarily by the lodging tax. So what that does is allow all of our communities to benefit from a bigger pot of money because it's supposed to be used, it has to be used by law to promote the area that it's collected. So we have a very robust, mostly digital advertising campaign. So we run the streaming services, we do remarketing, geofencing, we do email blasts, of course, we do digital display. All the products are on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, and all of the social medias. We just recently hired Cesar Ortega. I'm sure a lot of you know him. He's our social media manager and my helper, marketing assistant, and he's doing a fabulous job. We love having him on board. And I just wanted to check in with you. I would have been here earlier in the year. We try to do it every year, but I had a bunch of conflicts, and we were left off the agenda at one point. So anyway, we're here now. So I just want to let you know of a couple of our initiatives that we have long-running and sort of newer things. Our Spirit of Hospitality Awards is an annual thing that we do. Last year, Chisholm Document My Granddays was the recipient of the first time ever event of the Range Award. But we've been, for the last 12 years, we celebrate excellence in customer service. So we have 10 categories or so that people can be nominated in. We have a banquet in the fall. It's just a great event. It's lots of fun. Travis was there last year, so it's representing, so thanks for being there. We have a Certified Tourism Ambassador Program. It's a 4-hour training that tells people about the great things there are to see and do on the Iron Range, and has a customer service component. So it's frontline staff. I know Minnesota Discovery Center, I believe Bridget has gone through the class. Some folks from the Museum of Mining, so Chisholm's had a good participation in that, and that's a great class. We have a collaboration with called Ride the Range with Tioga, Panguna, Redhead, and Giants River Mountain Bike Parks. We're an equal partner in that. That's a marketing collaboration. So we're promoting mountain biking in this area. We're going on our 3rd year of that. I administer the Northern St. Louis County Trails Task Force, and I kind of keep that group going. And I know that Chisholm has received a a grant for a little piece of blacktop up here, I think by the entrance to the Museum of Mining. I know Northern Tracks has taken advantage of it, Pathblazers, Redhead has used it, so that's been it's a smaller grant fund and we have a quick turnaround time, so it can really help out with trail projects. In addition to trying to bring people here for, leisure travel, we have, we promote to group markets, we try to get, with the group tours, we try to get meetings, conventions to our area, and we also have a sports marketing program that we've launched. We also launched Hello Iron Range a few years ago. It's now called Hello Range. You can find it online, hellorange.com. And it's a resident recruitment and retention. Travis, I think it's Hello Iron Range. I see you writing it down. It's Hello Iron Range. And we finally have money. We got some funds and some grants and participants to hire a consultant to help us really get that off the ground. So what that's going to be is we're going to do a really, hopefully a really robust social media presence for about everything that's going on in Iron Range, including, houses for sale, job opportunities, trail, just the whole gamut of things that aren't necessarily covered by any one group right now. And so you're going to be hearing more about that, and I would love to talk to you more about that at a different time. But finally, I want to mention I got a grant, and the City of Chisholm is a partner with us for the trail user survey. So I was out there Sunday at Redhead for 3 hours. We're doing it at Giants Ridge too, and just talking to people and getting feedback. We're going to learn more about, why people are coming here, where they're coming from, how, what they're doing at the park. Are they hiking? Are they biking? All that kind of stuff. So that's going to be some great information that we'll have for you hopefully this fall. And I guess Jim's still not here, but I just wanted to say, we estimate that there's about 500,000 overnight guests here in our region every year. And they spend about $70 million. And that's, it's leisure travelers, but it's also business travel. It's people here for funerals and weddings and reunions and all that kind of stuff. But then there's an additional probably 300,000 people a year who are here as day trippers. They're going through, they might stop somewhere, they come up and ride Redhead for the day, they eat somewhere, and they go somewhere, they go home. People who are staying with their family and aren't staying in hotels or aren't staying in our campgrounds, and that's probably another 25 to 30 million that is coming into our area just from the travel economy. So I love to talk about it, but you guys have a big agenda. Does anybody have any questions for me?
It's a nice update. Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome. Happy to come in anytime. And my office is in Evelyn. I'd love to hear from you guys if you have questions or you want to be on one of our committees. We did invite Bridget to be on our board, so that'll be another good avenue of communication. And so,
Excellent.
like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Tom Novoselic. Good evening, Tom. How are you?
Hey,
Yeah?
doing great. Well, it's been a fun summer, hasn't it?
Absolutely a fun summer. Always is in Chisholm, right?
Well, every once in a while. No, I brought this up here to pretend I had a speech. But I guess, I'm here trying to advocate that the lower softball field here be named after my dad, Pete Novoselic, who had a 40-year fast pitch softball career here, and managed many teams that did very well, and actually we can really say that fast pitch softball is our family game. And fortunately, when I was in college down at Augsburg in Minneapolis, they formed the Minnesota Softball Hall of Fame, and my dad was a charter member. And along with some other famous people, like including one person, Johnny Conlon, the head coach of the Los Angeles, or the Minneapolis Lakers, and then after that, the Minnesota Gophers. There's a great tradition of softball in town here, as many people probably know, and especially with Tom and Jerry celebrating their 50th anniversary, and they sponsored many slow pitch teams, and now with girls and women playing softball. And I must say that I had umpired some of Bridget's games, I umpired some of John Schuster's games, all right, and I remember the Bardas begging Jim Larkin to start a softball program here, and not especially begging, insisting that they start the Passport softball program here in the high school. So you have all that tradition, and then within our family and my other family, the McDonald's, except for Tom played, but Mike and Paul and Coach McDonald used to pitch, and then my cousin Ron and my brother Dennis and my brother Pete and myself and my sister Candy played over in Hibbing. And so, and was especially with the Little League playing up there and our high school playing up there, and what could be better than having Pete Novoselic Field next to Joel Maturi Field, just like Joel Maturi Pavilion is right next to Williams Arena. So, I don't know if there would be any other questions, but Joel Maturi's told me personally, or at least emailed me, that my dad would certainly be deserving of the honor to have a field named after him. And I think Bridget called up Joel at certain times, and you see the article there about Joel and how close our families are, and I used to run the basketball camps I went to, played on Coach McDonald's first teams, basketball. As a matter of fact, the one baseball card, or softball card that I make of my dad, Maturi was catching, but I cut him off. And the only one that still contained Joel catching, my cousin Ron, I gave it to the Minnesota Softball Hall of Fame, and they lost it. So I, I don't know what the rest of the procedure is to, but I know it's quite the honor to have Chet Tomasoni on the arena there, Joe Maturi on the football field, Sweet Purgle on the baseball field, and of course we have the legacy of Doc Graham and Vita Panikovar and Field of Dreams, and we could go on forever. I think there should be a sequel to Field of Dreams sometime or another, in some form. I think it would be maybe Vita, but on the other hand, I've thought of Rinks of Dreams, because you got Sean Schuster at the curling club, you got Dave Tomasoni at the hockey arena, and he used to drive the little sled with a barrel on it to resurface the ice. That is Dad put together, Chet put together. And then there's the Butcher Ball. My dad and I won the Falcone Invitational 2 months before he died. And then the other part, Administrator Strada, where's your office? Down at the end of the hall there. That was my dad's office when he worked for the city, when he was janitor at City Hall. That was his office. And they used to have the youth center open, all right, 6:30 to 9 during the school year. Dad used to supervise that, all right, but Lon Barron made sure he gave him time off so he could go watch my basketball games. Who I played against, Katie Christensen's father, Todd, were tremendous friends. And so you got all that history, and my dad painted everything that was up there, up at the youth center. And then he had some students fill in the murals. So you got all that tradition over 40 years, and we were always glad to make our contribution however we could. So.
There's a lot of history there, Tom.
Yeah.
So I appreciate this very much. I mean, obviously it's got to have a little more conversation.
Sure.
Thank you for bringing it to us. I'd say after that, I think we should probably either bring this up to our next working session to invite you back and have more of a conversation. 5 minutes isn't a lot, but involving our Parks and Rec, and
anytime.
conversation should be had. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very
Anything
much.
else? Thank you.
All right, take care.
Okay, moving on to council reports. Councilor Oliva, start with you tonight.
How's it going, Mr. Mayor? I attended the last Public Utilities Committee meeting. I attended the groundbreaking for the Bruce Mine and attended the lunch and learn on the cannabis through the League of Minnesota Cities yesterday. And we had our first Armand Market on 7/27. It went well. We got more vendors reaching out to us now for the next one on 8/24, Thursday night from 4 to 8.
Perfect. Thank you. Councilor Miklaraha. Good evening.
Good evening. I attended an HRA meeting and have a couple more meetings coming up in the next couple weeks.
Perfect. So I just want to touch base real quick on that. So I know next June will be a new administrator, most likely, or possibly. So I would like to make sure that we add that to our next working session for conversations about our involvement. And Brian, whatever you can help with that. Councilor Baki, good evening.
Good evening. I don't have a lot, just a couple of quick little things. I just want to point out that open house for the school district is now out. That's August 31st, which is crazy that it's right around the corner. Like, where did summer go? The only other thing I want to do is just kind of give a thank you to the community of Chisholm. I mean, we've had a lot of events here in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and they've just been amazing. Great events, whether it be a ribbon cutting, the parade was fantastic, 46 entries in the parade on a non-political year, and so the fair, as usual, draws a big crowd, but just, thank you to the citizens, to the city, to the crews, Larry's crew, always working hard for us, and, I do have one other thing for Chief when you come up, but I want to see if we can get the baseball fields some water. Other than that, that's all I have.
Perfect. Councilor Alverson, good evening.
Good evening. I attended a park board meeting and we just got done with a campground meeting here today. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, like Councilor Baki had said. Oops, excuse me. Oh, sorry, Councilor Fountain. I'd look over and you weren't there. Good evening, Councilor Fountain. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Can everybody hear me okay?
Very well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd just like to say I'm sorry I'm not able to attend in person, but I'm glad I can be here on Zoom. Thank you. July 25th, I attended a webinar understanding the impacts of adult use cannabis law, which those slides were forward to all of you. On August 8th, I attended the Cannabis in Small Cities Lunch and Learn via Zoom. Let's see, it was pre-recorded, it was recorded, and as soon as that link comes out, I'll make sure I send it forward it to Susan. August 8th, I attended via Zoom the Chisholm Library meeting where we discussed summer reading program, how that went. It went fantastic. The 3-2-1 art class. I don't want to tell you guys everything because I'm pretty sure our librarian out there is going to give us an update, but I also want to give a thank you to Jalen Jordan for all her hard work interning during this summer for the summer reading program. Also today I was able to attend the campground committee meeting. So that was nice through the phone. That was great. I was also able to attend several League of Minnesota City member learning courses on HR tips, understanding the impact of the public safety duty disability law, land use regulations, and the well-being for city officials taking care of ourselves and our teams. So, yeah. So I'm working from home, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. So, yeah, for myself, I'd just like to piggyback. There's been a lot of ribbon cuttings going on at Chisholm this summer, and there's a lot of construction going on, a lot of projects coming to fruition. Very exciting. Bruce Mine head frame happened last week. The splash pad happened last week. Hopefully we'll see that by the end of the month, so maybe the kids and some energized adults can get in there. But yeah, it's very exciting. If if you have driven by the new site for the public safety building, you'll see that the training tower seems to be going up and the footings are being poured, so that's coming along. There was a meeting yesterday, and I believe by the beginning of September we should have a really nicely defined calendar of events and what's going to be happening and what we should expect and when. With the EMS side, ambulance, we did have a LifeLink training, and we also had a LifeLink training with the fire department this summer, so having them in town twice, different areas of landing, and getting our different units, working with them, and a nice cohesive bunch, so that's been very exciting and neat for a lot of community members to see. And again, Larry, your staff and your crew and everything that's been happening. It's been a very busy end of July and beginning of August. So really appreciate you guys cleaning up the street too before the parade. Tremendous work. So a lot of good things. So thank you all for your hard work. And thank you, Steph, for leading them along. And with that, I have no other input or unless there's any questions for myself. Okay, moving on. Ambulance director is out this evening. Fire chief, evening, Chris.
No formal report, just what's on the agenda.
Yeah. Police chief, Vern, good evening.
I don't have any formal report.
Formal report. Building official, zoning administrator, Mandy, good evening.
I just wanted to update you on the number of permits we have through year to date. We have 114 permits that were issued. And I'll just touch again on the public safety building. I was out at the last footing inspection for the phase 6 footings that were poured today at 11. So you'll see walls going up very soon. The footings are all poured and done. The other thing, you will see a resolution for the residential grant redevelopment program. If that resolution is passed tonight, we'll receive an approximate $18,585 from the IIRB. And we should have that grant agreement at the next meeting.
Excellent. Thank you, Mandy. City engineer, Jim, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I have no formal report, but would be happy, other than what I've got on the agenda, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have right now.
Any questions now? Thank you, Jim.
I'll be long enough when I get up there.
No, you won't. Public Works, Larry, good evening.
Quick one, Mayor. Thanks for your kind words, as always, we appreciate it. The casual laborers, the seasonal laborers that we have are just starting to trickle out. The college kids are going back to college. We do have some high school kids yet and some other staff staying on for a little longer, so we continue to work through those projects and it's going well. We did some diagonal parking this year down on Central Avenue, and that's great. It's been working awesome. We went from 5 spots to 13, I believe it was, or 7 to 13, so we doubled our space on there at the Kiwanis Park area, so it's been good. Things like that. The painting was good. The flowers are beautiful. New flower vendor this year, so everything popped this year. Doc Graham was great. Everyone that participated, there was 39, I think, like you said, in attendance, so it was a great parade, and Chisholm really looks good this year, so appreciate that. The splash pad is looking like a splash pad, and it's being poured with concrete tomorrow. So if you're interested, take a drive by. It looks amazing. It'll look amazing every day after as we go and work through those extras with the patios and the dry apron and stuff. And everything's going well, so I'm happy to report on that. Rich has been a huge help, and Shannon at the chamber, of course. And we continue to work through that, and it will look like a splash pad tomorrow, so go see. They're pouring in the morning. The weather looks great, and it's a 1-pour day, and we'll be standing guard for hours to make sure nobody tries to get on it right away. And so wait your turn, it'll come. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Excellent. Briefly, I just want to say thank you again, and to Jim and anyone else that helped. If anyone exited Chisholm onto 169 from the Industrial Park or 4th Avenue, or Cass Highway 67, you might have seen a whole bunch of rocks on there. That was just terrible. And called Larry first to see who I could reach out to, and I just emailed our staff. Jim, you reached out to someone. Larry, you had reached out to another person, and State was there the next day and got it cleaned up and fixed. So,
Yeah, that was a good ending.
thank you very much.
Just a little, so we continue to work through stumps and those parts. We're still out there, so if you think we missed something, feel free to give me a call. We have a long list, and we'll continue to work through it in the fall. So,
Excellent.
thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
City Parks, Trails, Rec. Bridget, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll try to make it quick too. Here we go. I don't know if you're as excited about the number of kids as I am. I know I report on this the last 2 times, but we did average 73 kids per day at rec this summer. The largest day we had 92, which is incredible, and so that is a 20% increase from 2022. With the splash pad, I was gonna let it go, but since Larry mentioned people are standing guard so that you can't ruin the concrete while it's curing, I wanna say yes. No handprints, not allowed. So I hope that they stand guard long enough. And then sports leagues this summer were great. We have 1 week to wrap up the adult leagues, and it was a good season. Flag football's coming, stay tuned. And thanks to everybody who attended that Bruce Mine headframe ribbon cutting. That was an incredible event hosted by CBA, and they really got a lot of people there, and it was impressive. So that park is continuing to be completed, but it will probably be one of the best looking parks in Chisholm. It's very exciting. And then Redhead, that LCCMR funding that went through, we are starting meetings on that. And the maintenance this year is the best that it's been, thanks to Adopt a Trail, and the city has put out a couple staff members to maintain the trail. Beth, when she was here, mentioned that intercept survey. If anybody wants to volunteer for a time slot on the weekends, we have all kinds of weekend time slots open, go figure, but we're at about 70 surveys in, and we need 400 total, so we'll go until we get that 400. And then finally, Explore Minnesota will come, and they are filming, and that is coming up this month, as well as Minnesota Bound, so we will have some really neat press coverage and stories about Redhead coming to Minnesota or national news soon. Thanks. Any questions?
Thank you, Bridget. Library Supervisor Katie, good evening.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Quick summer recap. It's been a busy season at the library. We're currently averaging about 85 people a day. In the month of June and July, we had 7 programs in addition to our summer reading program and story times. So we just wrapped up our summer reading program. We had 208 kids and teens participate. Just a few program highlights, I won't go through all of them. But we had tie-dye on July 19th, and it was a torrential downpour. There was hail and hibbing, and I was like, nobody's gonna show up. We had 110 kids show up, soaking wet, ready to participate, and learned the commitment of the community's commitment towards tie-dye. Last week for Doc Moonlight Graham Days, we had Mr. Koloji come to the library for an author visit. He's a retired teacher from the Chisholm School District, and at 65 years old, he decided to hike the full 2,194 miles of the Appalachian Trail. And so we had 65 people show up to hear about his adventures, hiking from Georgia to Maine, and learn about his process of self-publishing a book. And it was a great program. It was super interesting to listen to. There was a lot of questions, and overall very well attended. Some current programs and upcoming programs. We still have 3 weeks left of our free sensory art class with Amy Lucas and 321 Art Studio. Amy's a local artist from Chisholm. There's 2 separate classes that are happening on Tuesdays that focus on creating art from the awareness and understanding of the different needs of both sensory seeking and sensory avoidant children. So there's still room available in both of those classes if anyone's interested. On September 18th, we have a presentation with Brian and Sue Matuzak through a grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board. And the presentation is going to be on Minnesota stories from the WPA's Federal Art Project. For anybody that isn't familiar, the WPA program was essentially a work relief program under the Franklin Roosevelt administration in the 1930s during the Great Depression. So the project employed more than 5,000 artists at its peak in 1936, and the artists were receiving a basic wage of $23.50 a week, which is interesting. So the 2 art pieces that are going to be highlighted during the presentation will be the mural inside the Chisholm Post Office and also the statue at the Chisholm High School. And the WPA is actually the same program that was utilized to build those beautiful rock walls all on the Chisholm Sports Complex. So if you're interested in learning more about the WPA program or any history behind some of our local art, I'm anticipating that to be a pretty educational and entertaining program. Lastly, just a huge thank you to Jalen Jordan. Her last day is next Wednesday. We're going to miss her dearly. She was a great support for us at the library this summer and definitely contributed to the success we've had the last 3 months. So that's all I have.
A lot going on.
A lot
Excellent.
happening.
Oh, thank you very much, Katie.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Okay. You're a saint. City Attorney Brian, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. Normally, I don't report too much on the things that I'm working on for the city, but there is one item that I've been working in conjunction with Administrator Scraba on to try and get accomplished, and I wanted to report on it, and that is the site access agreement for the Delta site, so we can continue our project with the county, with IRRR, and to develop some new space. So we had negotiated a site access agreement that had been approved by the council. We've used that site access agreement to do some initial site exploration work. There's a need to do a little bit more site exploration work, and we're working on an amendment to that agreement. We're trying to keep it moving. The specific issue that we're working through is how the Data Practices Act, some non-disclosure requirements, and some environmental testing will all fit together. I've spoken with Mr. Johnson from the city here, who's given me some additional information about the site that makes me feel a lot more comfortable about where we are. But that process is continuing to move. It's just fairly touchy. So.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Any questions? Okay, moving on. City Clerk Treasurer Eileen, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Council members. So the 2023 Minnesota legislative session manifested some important laws that are going to influence the finance and election departments. One being the earned sick and safe time and paid family and medical leave laws. Those will be implemented in the year 2024 and 2026. So some important changes that we need to make, which I'm collaborating with Christy Rovina of our North Shore Consulting and Susan. So we're on the ball. As far as the election, there's some new laws that are going to influence 2024's election season, so those will be implemented as soon as possible. We're waiting for the election judge training announcement to, we're hoping to hear about that maybe next month. But I'm in touch with the county so that we're on top of that and implement those changes. So it's exciting, yay! As far as the fiscal year 2024 budgets, the department heads have been doing an excellent job submitting their budgets, so good job, we should be proud of them. We've been working really hard. We met earlier this week, had some very productive discussions about it, and are prepared to schedule the working session with the council, which you guys will address later this evening, so good job, everybody. Stephanie and I are scheduled to meet with Bonnie of Sterling and Company to discuss the draft of financials. So we'll go over, she'll go over our financial performance and point out some really key items, and if there's any corrections to be made, we'll address those then. But we're just about ready to issue those, and we'll schedule Jeff Sturl to do his annual presentation, probably in the first council meeting of September. We will be ensuing the lodging tax administration. If you recall, at our last council meeting, I presented a resolution to discontinue the joint powers agreement with the city of Evelyn, which they accepted, and that will ensue this month. So just to give you a heads up on that. It's been such an honor and privilege to be part of the public safety building and attending the weekly AP construction meetings because they take us on the property and we get to walk and just see how it's being erected, and it's so enjoyable to see how it progresses. I hope each one of you seizes that opportunity at some point to take a look at it. But it's just miraculous when we go there. It changes every week. And AP is a great company to work with. Let's see, and just to comment on Bridget's volleyball season, I'm a participant in the sand volleyball, and it was great, and it's nice to engage with the community when it's about fun, so good, clean fun, yay! That's it, any questions?
Thank you, Eileen. I would just like to piggyback off that too. If anybody does want to go out to the site and get a walkthrough, just let Steph or Eileen know and they can get a hold of Brendan and make that happen. City Administrator, Steph, good evening.
Good evening. With being at the end, majority of my items are usually checked off the list by the time it gets to me. So I was going to address what the mayor just said. We can set up a time for the council to go to the site. Right now, it's really, you're starting to see some more progress. So I think the next couple weeks would make sense if there's a group that wants to go out there. I have been working through Deed, who was assigned our most recent bonding dollars for both the Arena Curling Club and the film studio downstairs, Lost 40. So I've been working through that state process. We have met with some architects and engineers for both of those projects. We're not quite to the point ready to bring those to council yet, but we are working closely with getting the funding in place so we're able to start moving forward on those projects. As Attorney Lindsay said, the site next to Delta we've been working towards, which will be the daycare St. Louis County and Essentia site. All of that will be housed in one building now. Infrastructure grant dollars went to IRRR today with the cost of $500,000. So hopeful that that project will start moving forward in the fall. If there's any questions for me?
None? Okay, thank you, Steph. Council, moving on, consent agenda, which consists of your list of bills, communications, which are June 6, 2023, Parks, Trails, and Rec Advisory Board meeting minutes, June 8th, 2023, Chisholm Police Commission meeting minutes, minutes of previous city council meetings, July 12th, 2023, payroll and overtime. If there is a motion to approve.
Motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? What was that, April?
No, I just said aye.
Oh. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, moving on. No unfinished business. New business. Chief Masusi. Good evening.
Good evening, council. As I reported at the last council meeting, we had a failed test on our ladder truck, and we kind of knew that's been coming the last couple of years. We've been told it's barely passing its NFPA standard. With that failure comes an expensive fix, minimum of around $15,000, all the way up to $35,000 to repair that truck. Truck is 35, 36 years old now. So we put the truck committee to work. We got together, reached out to Chris Efta with fire safety to help us out on this. Chris sells used and new rigs. We've done business with Chris in the past with equipment. So the committee got together 3 weeks ago now, our first meeting. Had 3 trucks we broke it down off of, and then worked our way down to the 1. They're all within $20,000 in price. But it just came down to styles that we prefer, and that's pretty much it. Low miles, we wanted low miles, something in the 2000s, and something affordable. I know it's a lot of money what you see on your paper, but that truck that we're looking at now, brand new, is about $1.8 million. So we're under even a quarter of that cost for that same rig 19 years later. That truck you're looking at, I know the miles are not there, it's 34,000 miles on that truck with $1,100. So not too bad. That's, I would say, low miles for the year. I try to include all our minutes from the committee meetings and stuff. I reached out to Ely Fire Department, Fire Chief. They literally just went through this same thing. They, pretty much the same truck, which I didn't know at the time, but they just completed this through Chris and got a lot of good information on how they did the process of looking at the truck, how they bought it, you know, just the whole thing. It's pretty much exactly what we're doing, how we're going about it. They had a failure in their old aerial truck too, and we're in need of a new used one. So, I do have Chris with me. I asked him to join me here because he's probably gonna be able to answer a lot more of the questions that you guys have than I am, but I can do my best to start out with. So, I am looking for council approval for the purchase price of $388,500, and that will be pending inspection from our inspection team in Ocala.
Okay. Travis, anything you wanna
No.
interject or?
Well, I will say this, unfortunately, it didn't work out for me to be at their meetings, but I did get the minutes. I think they did their due diligence in their research and finding this, and I'll be honest, when I first saw this, I was like, is this accurate? Because it seems like a great price competitively for us, you know, in the ballpark for what we're looking for. And you know, that covers the cost of them flying out there. I mean, I think you guys did a really good job.
Right, and that includes 3 days of full day training on that truck through E1, which the fire chief up in Ely said was, kind of put price on it, he said it was that good. So definitely, that's the way to go.
Yeah, so I mean, I have no issue with it. I'm thrilled that they're finally getting a ladder truck. You guys have done a marvelous job of getting us by to this point. So kudos to you guys and your hard work in doing this project.
No, I would agree. I think that, I was very surprised to see that, number, being able to find a rig like that. So it's, exciting and something that will definitely serve our community and our surrounding communities for mutual aid partnership very well. Marty?
What did you say the miles?
The miles on that truck were 34,000 miles with the 1,100 engine hours.
So what happens to the old truck? Does it have any value, or what do we do with it?
I suppose do get it and see what happens, or we keep it and make it a monument, or, I'm not sure. I don't know what it would be worth at this point. I mean, somebody might buy it and tear the ladder and everything off and use the chassis, because, as far as that goes, it's in good shape, for an older truck.
Cheyenne? Jed?
I got two questions. So when it comes to our ISO rating, how is this the age of this truck, is it gonna affect us years down the road?
Because it pumps more water than our other one, and the reach and the capability of the truck.
Okay.
But they mostly go off how much water you can pump, and it pumps 2,000 gallons a minute compared to 1,250.
Okay.
Yep.
So we get, what, do you think we get 20 years out of this truck, you're thinking?
I'm 2025.
Okay.
So, I know Chris is here, like I said, he can talk more if you guys want him to. We were talking, and this chassis is still used today in their brand new trucks. So it's proven, I guess you could say, and parts are available. We go, you have a breakdown somewhere, so.
I don't have any additional questions. I guess the only thing that I would ask is there anything on here that you foresee as something that you'll need in the,
So the only thing is, there's the pump heaters added to the bottom. Those are gonna have to be put on at the shop before it gets to us, during the pre-inspection and everything at their shop.
Okay.
Cause it's not like winterized from Minnesota.
Okay,
We need
gotcha.
pump heaters, we need that, tank heaters and everything.
Do you wanna go approval up to 400?
It would pay for that stuff to be done, and any minor stuff in the pre-inspection. I mean, when we get that truck, should be fully ready to go. It already has the certifications for this year, both ladder and pump, so we don't have to take care of any of that, but if they do find minor stuff, we're gonna have to pay for
Right,
that
so then you
stuff.
don't have to come back.
Yeah.
Mhm. And these funds are coming out of the chief's fund?
Yep.
So.
Yes,
that's
and
it,
I
yep.
did talk to Eileen before we started this, make sure, we wanna be fiscally responsible there too, because we also have an old engine in 3, 4, 5 years that's gonna have to be replaced, and we don't wanna drain that fund down to nothing. So the 2000s where we knew we're gonna have to be far as the year, somewhere in there. The newer is way too much, older, well, I already have an old truck, that doesn't do us any good either. So,
Okay. Counselor
Mr.
Felton?
Mayor, I got questions. Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So first thing is, how much for a new truck of this type would, you be looking at price-wise?
this truck right now is roughly $1.8 million.
Wow, thank you for that. And then the next question is, how much of, okay, you said, Mr. Mayor, you said this was gonna be coming out of the Cheech Fund. Is there $400,000 in the Cheech Fund? Or would this be coming out of any of the fire department funding or grants or?
There's roughly $715,000 in the Cheech Fund right now. I got the numbers from that. So we'll leave almost.
Thank you
half.
so much.
Yep.
Okay, council, if there's nothing else, we'll be looking for a motion and support. Going forward, because Councilor Felton is at home, we will be doing roll call votes, so thank you for the heads up on that.
Can I just touch on the grant really quick?
Yes.
I just wanna, April, just to follow up from your question on if there'll be grant funding. We have submitted, grant applications for trucks, a couple of years in a row unsuccessfully, so we have tried to do some grant funding, we just weren't successful with that.
Mr. Mayor, I got one more question too.
Yeah.
So what's the cost for like flights and stuff? You said 4 people are on this inspection
Yep.
team? Do we need 4 people?
That's part of that cost that's on there, it's roughly $5,000.
But can we, if Tech would buy equipment, they spend 2, maybe 3 at the very most?
No,
And do we need 4 to go?
I want most eyes on it I can. I mean, that's why I want Justin and Mike there, because they're the mechanics of the shop and they know their way around big equipment more than I do or anybody else. I mean, Chris is there to help us out on that. We're gonna run that truck for 6, 7 hours. We're gonna drive it, we're gonna pump it, we're gonna do everything. I just wanna make sure it's, I mean, that'll be up to council if you don't want 4 of us, but I recommend it just because I want more eyes on it. I truly believe that we're buying a used truck, I wanna make sure we cover all our bases. It's 2 days, we're flying out one day, coming back the next.
Go ahead.
Back on it. Typically,
You wanna come up to the podium, or people at home can't hear you?
No, I understand.
all right, just to answer that question, typically what, in new trucks, used trucks, it doesn't matter. They, most departments bring up a minimum of 4 people in there just to have 4 different sets of eyes, 4 different sets of opinions, and, helps design it, and that seems to work out about perfect in the design process on a new truck or on a used truck. There's a lot of moving parts on this thing, and, you're putting a lot of, trust into the guys, and rightfully so, we wanna just do our due diligence for you guys. That's all I have, man.
Okay, is there anything else? All right, council, I would entertain a motion to, allow the Chisholm Fire Department to, spend up to $400,000 for this truck upon inspection and approval. And that would include the, recommendations for the options once it gets to Minnesota, down to the, garage there.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Felton.
Support.
Thank you, Councilor Baki. Any further discussion? Susan, would you please take a roll call vote?
Yes, Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Faulkner.
Aye.
Counselor Malva.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Abstain. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, John, I was late on that one here.
That's a big.
It is a very big
big
thing,
deal.
so. Next up, Chief Manor. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. The first 2 items are just informational. The Gambling Commission approved LG 22 gambling permits bingo for the Kiwanis Kids Plus, and a raffle for the quarterback club, and also for the Lions Club, a raffle for a cancer benefit to be held next month.
Okay.
Yeah,
right on.
Resolution is needed to accept the donation. I'm not greedy, I don't get very many of these, this is the first one I think I've ever done. Mark Chartier is a veteran and a retired Hibbing officer. He's been in town for as long as I've been here. And he sent me a check for $500 to donate to the police department. So I'm very, very generous of Mr. Chartier. I'm happy that he's still around to be with us.
Very generous. Thank you very much, Mr. Chartier. So I'd look for a motion to accept that donation and to send Mr. Chartier a thank you letter.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed. Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, sorry. Roll call, please.
Counselor Hamilton.
Aye.
Counselor McLeod-Raha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Holliva.
Aye.
Counselor Lackey.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries. Nice job.
And our final, we're finally ahead of the game on this. Last Tuesday, I'm happy to report that we put on Stephen McGee, just Stephen is what he goes by, the second, to the police department as a full-time officer. He started last Tuesday, and he's training this week. Again, he'll be on a 12-week field training. Nice young man, and we just need a resolution to okay his para donation.
Excellent. Well, good work. Yeah, I was able to meet Stephen after the parade, so seems like a very nice young man.
Yeah.
Council, I would look for a motion to approve resolution 0823-50.
Make motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Susan, please, any further discussion?
And my apologies, I said kid, he's an officer of the law, but he's young enough to be one of my kids, so it's a little bit different when you get up in age, but yeah, he's a nice young gentleman.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe a grandkid too, I know. Sorry, Chief. Susan, please take a roll call vote.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McLeod-Raha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Holliva.
Aye.
Counselor Lackey.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Congratulations, Stephen.
Is the gray hair showing? I'm appreciate it.
Moving on, Mandy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm seeking approval for the authorization to accept the funds from the IRRB Residential Redevelopment Grant Program.
So, Council, unless there's any questions, I'd look for a motion to approve the residential redevelopment grant program.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion?
I do. We're gonna make sure we do everything correctly this time, right? All of our procedures will be approved ahead of time.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So we don't have another issue.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Susan?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McLeod-Raha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Holliva.
Aye.
Counselor Lackey.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Thank you, Mandy. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Jim, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. First item we have tonight is to reinitiate the process, or to get it started again, to accept the feasibility report on our expanded Fifth Street South project, being from First Avenue Southeast to Second Avenue Southwest. And really the purpose is to accept that feasibility report. It's also referred to as a facility plan through our application for funding through the Public Facilities Administration. So with the adoption of this resolution tonight, Susan, once it is signed, will get sent down to the people at the Pollution Control Authority to enter into that file. A week or two ago, we found out through their scheduling that we weren't aware of before, that they also need the minutes of the public hearing, and they would like that before the end of August. So initially, we had set up this resolution to hold a public informational meeting at the first Wednesday in September, and then before your first council meeting at the second Wednesday in September. You'll see by this resolution, we had time. We've actually got the public notices ready to go to the paper and to the individuals abutting and benefiting property owners, indicating that we are proposing to hold a public informational meeting 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks from tonight over at the Senior Citizen Center, and then the last Wednesday on August 30th to hold a public hearing in advance of a special council meeting that we hope you'll adopt tonight. Just one thing, on page 45 is actually the resolution, and there's one correction which is my responsibility. We had an earlier version of the feasibility study, and it's just under number 1 at the middle of the page in the last item. That cost, so it coincides with what you see actually in the feasibility that is attached. That number, rather than 2.2 million, should be $2,430,800. And that reflects that cost estimate that you see back on page 61 of your agenda, which is part of that feasibility study. So with that, I would recommend adoption of resolution 0823-52 with that correction of the cost at the end of item number 1, please. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I only have one question, Jim.
Sure, Mark.
Some of the residents, I believe, are served by a sanitary sewer in their alley. Isn't there a small section, half a block or so?
Yeah, to the south.
Okay.
In fact, we're looking at that alternative, Marty, to see what the cost difference would be and see where our funding is at. My hope would be that we could actually reverse the flow in that alley, and right now, from, well, it comes up at mid-block, I guess, off of 6th Street, and goes straight north up to that old lift station that we think is failing. My hope would be that we would have enough funding that we could actually abandon that piece from the alley up to 5th Street to that old lift station, reverse the flow going down that alley, because the last house on the east end, south side of 5th Street, excuse me, I'm sorry, it's south side of 5th Street at completely the east end, right adjacent to Ford. They're actually, their service, we relayed that about 5 years ago, and even their service is still too low, and we got that main at about 0.1% grade, and we still, so my hope is to reverse that flow from the alley, take it east that half block over to First Avenue Southeast, and then tie it back into that new lift station
okay.
right there, and that cleans up that whole area in
Would
terms
that also
of
collect
liabilities and.
industrial park then? too?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, this collects the whole industrial park area, so
Good.
that is an alternative that we are looking at. Basically, when we do the televising of the sanitary sewer laterals, we need to make sure that we can raise that 18-inch, or that 18-foot deep manhole.
Yep,
We're
that's
hopeful of
good.
raising that, and saving money in that area as well.
Okay.
That would clean up that whole area in terms of clearing assessments or getting it fully assessed and fully benefited.
'Cause that was
And not have a
my
potential
question.
problem, because I think that main from the alley to 5th Street is very close to one of those houses right there. And to try and replace it would be extremely difficult. So,
Okay, good, thank you.
you're welcome, thank you, good question.
Make a
Council?
motion.
Motion to support 0823-52. Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? Susan?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halibut.
Aye.
Counselor Lappies.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Okay, motion carries.
Excuse Mayor, second item, then starting on page 63, is getting your approval for us to seek authorization or to make application for funding for this project through Iron Range Resources. And again, the same correction needs to be made on my request for council action on page 63 to update that cost estimate to $2,430,800. Basically, with the cost being about little over $2.4 million, in the past, the funding has been about 1/6 of the cost that we've applied for from IRRB. So what we are looking for that shows up on page 64 of the actual resolution then is about $400,000 if this project moves forward. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
And Counselor, if there's no other questions, I'd look for a motion to approve resolution 0823-53 with the change of the estimated amount to $2,430,800.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Is there any further discussion? Susan, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicole Raha.
Aye.
Counselor
Aye.
Counselor Halibut.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries.
Mayor, the next item is application number 5 for our public safety building, and if I can quickly try and take you through that, if you'll go to page 67. And if you'll go to column G, which is work completed this period. And if you add up, there's 5 numbers right at the top, and then 2 more a little bit lower down that are under item 17. So if you draw a line under that $31,200, that total in that column of those numbers above is $487,780.36. $487,780.36. And then if the fee for A&P is at 1.75% of that number, which is the lower in that column is the $8,536.16. So the total work completed is, as you see at the bottom line there of column G, the $496,316.52. Let's see. Then if you go over under column I, the first of those 2 columns, do not add that first line of $309,700, but the next 4 numbers down, plus those same 2 numbers further down of $37,950 and $31,200 is total $734,132.86. And yes, okay. And if you, from that, if you multiply that number by 5%, which is going to be our retainage that we'll see when we go back to the page. The retainage on that total work completed of that $734,132.86 is $36,706.64. And if you'll go back to page 66, which is a summary of those numbers. As you see, number 1 is the original, the left side, about halfway down. The original contract sum being the $11,199,947. Number 2, there's been no change order to date, so that contract is still that $11,199,947. Then the total work completed to date, which was previous plus what we ended up with today, total work that comes, I think, $53,047.31. The 5% then that we talked about previously of that work completed to date is $36,706.64 that you see. That gets carried down such that the total work earned less the retainage is that $1,316,340.67. Then you see the previous payments, it's very faint, of $839,263.17. So the current payment due is $477,077.50, 477,077.50. With that, I would recommend approval of the application number 5 for the public safety building.
Thank you, Jim. Again, it's a very nice diagram. Makes it very easy for us. Appreciate it, AP. And thanks for the explanation. Counselor, if there's no further questions, I would look for a motion to approve pay application number 5, amount of $477,077.50.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Is there any further discussion? Susan, would you please take a roll call vote?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraja. Counselor Thornton.
Aye.
Counselor Halva.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. My final item here, there's actually two pieces of, one is going to be the approval of pay application, and then as I say in my request for council action on page 68, I need some direction from you so we can move forward to hopefully get this project finalized out and totally resolved. If you'll go over to page 69 and 7, go to page 69 first, and if you go over to about the third set of columns, it says this payment, quantity, and amount. And basically, this is the work, and most of it is paying off for the balance of mobilization plus the installation of the bituminous wearing course surface that was done before the end of June. And if you follow those quantities and costs down, go back to page 70, and there's an adjustment on the wearing course mixture price increase that happened actually several years ago. So what you'll see as you go down that same column of quantity and amount with what was listed above in the base bid plus change order number 1, total work completed on this change order is $35,648.28, excuse me. And then we always withhold 5% on our pay estimate, so take 95% of that $35,648.28. You'll see just lower to the right of that, the amount due this application is $33,865.87. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have, but would recommend payment in the amount of $33,865.87. I would make one, as long as we're right there, in that last column, just above that amount due this application, you'll see less retainage at 5%. So what we're retaining right now on this project is $64,774.14, and that will be important in the discussion that I'd like to have with you as soon as you act on this pay application, please.
Okay, council. So if there is no other questions, I would like to start with recommending pay in the amount of $33,865.87 for pay application number 9.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? Susan, please take a roll call vote.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraja.
Aye.
Counselor Thornton.
Aye.
Counselor Halva,
Aye.
Counselor Baki,
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Included in the packet then on pages 71 and 72 is a recap of meetings that were held really a year ago regarding completion dates and liquidated damages and so forth. And I'd like, hopefully, you've had a chance to read page 71, but if you would go to page 72, it kind of gives us a process to go through, and it tells us what the actions were a year ago in August, your decisions that were recommended at this point. And they deal with the revised substantial completion date going to October 1st, and the actual construction was completed November 5th, of October 1st, 2021. The actual completion, substantial completion was achieved on November 5th, 2021. If you want to stay with that decision at that point, as they indicate under 1A, our consultant engineer will prepare a change order for all parties to execute, so we'll bring that back, which is what's required there on number 2. Liquidated damages we talked about as a result of them being 30 days late with substantial completion at a cost of $1,500 per day. That amounts to $45,000. Then number 4, you see we revised the final completion date. We actually extended it 1 year from July 1st of 2022 to July 1, 2023. Again, that would go through a change order process just like the substantial completion. And then the final items 5 and 6 deal with the warranty. And I guess my own feeling would be, I think the 2-year warranty is entirely appropriate. We had talked about a 5-year warranty on the water services themselves. It'd be easier for us to administer if that was 2 years as well. We've already got 1 year under since the repair work and installation was done a year ago. We've gone through 1 winter cycle, that'll give us 3. It's just easier to administrate all of those having a completion date of 2 years. But if you want to stick with 5 years, we'll go that way. But with that, I'm just looking for direction. If you want to stay with these decisions that you made a year ago, I'll get this information, whatever you want to do, pass back to SEH for preparation of the necessary documents and change orders to the contract agreement. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Council input.
Just one question. When would the retainage be paid, Jim? The last bit of retainage?
I suspect the next thing that would be requested would be a reduction in that retainage. Right now it's 5%, which was at almost $64,775 or approximately that. I think they would be looking for a reduction to something in the neighborhood of about $45,000, probably a little bit over $45,000. Such that we've got, that leverage. They need to pay off their subs, that last 5%, in order to get their lien waivers and certificates of payment. I don't think I've got quite the right language there, Brian, correct me, but in order to pay off their subcontractors so they can get the write-off or the, what am I trying to say, the lien waivers.
Lien waivers.
For that project. So my suspicion would be that we could see those change orders at the next meeting along with pay application number 10 that would reduce it to something 3% or something like that. That would be a little bit more than $45,000 liquidated damages that we're looking at.
And that's held till the warranty expires, or is that held until the change orders are all approved?
That would be held until we make a final pay application, which would resolve all these issues. There may be a negotiation is what I'm thinking, or maybe they'll accept it at that. and the $45,000 would be deducted from the contract as liquidated damages, and if there's, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 left, it would be a final application. That would be when we would finally accept the project, and that's when the 2-year warranty period would start. The 2-year and or 5-year warranty period would commence.
Mr. Mayor, the storm sewer on the south side of the street at the very end of where the gravel meets the pavement there is in pretty rough shape. I mean, do we want a 5-year warranty on that? Just in case you have issues down the road, or?
The storm sewer where outlets there,
Yeah,
no, that's warranty work. We can get that taken care of,
Right.
get that resolved.
right,
In fact, we'll do that yet this year.
right. Do we stick with the 5-year warranty, or go with the 5-year, or?
The 5-year was just for the water lines?
Oh, just the water, so
No,
not
before
storm.
you had gotten yours,
Yeah.
yes.
No, mainline water main, the sanitary sewer, the rest of the facilities.
Okay, not storm
They
sewer,
would have a
okay.
2-year warranty in place of a normal 1-year warranty for the existing contract. It was just the 5-year warranty was being suggested or recommended a year ago, only on the water services.
Okay.
From the main to the home.
Minus the storm, okay.
My opinion is we stick with our plan. We went through a lot of pain on this, and I don't wanna dive back into it and change it now.
Yeah, you're right. We did. This was a,
Stick
this
with
was
our plan.
a nightmare of a project. But anyway, Jim, I have one question, and that question is, we approved the substantial completion, November 5th, is that right? Is that what I'm looking at?
We have not accepted any certificate of substantial completion yet. And this action would actually, we had to specify, I guess by our existing contract, we have a established completion date. Because of whether in some other situations, it's being revised back to October 1st of 2021. But their actual completion was November 5th of 2021. And that's where the liquidated damages. This change order would take what the existing contract, and I think the existing contract, if I remember, was the end of August. And because of circumstances and so forth, when we look at that, this change order number 1 would move it from October 30th or 31st of 2021 to October 1st of 2021, and that starts the period of liquidated damages.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you explained that. The reason I brought that up is because was it substantially completed at that point? We didn't find out about the water lines until when? When they
In the
broke,
spring.
right? So, I mean, I could make an argument that their substantial completion date, it should be after they fix the water lines. You know, because
That really fell
you
into
know,
warranty work is really what it amounted to.
which is fine.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make that point.
Yep.
But I agree with Marty. I think that we should stick to what we had already negotiated.
I'm good with that. I
Okay.
just have to remember, Travis.
These projects drag on longer and longer, it's harder and harder, right? You know, I would agree. So council, I would look for a motion to direct Jim to go back to SEH and direct them to stay this course.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
No, Marty,
Oh, Marty's, I'm sorry.
but I'll support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? Susan?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Aye.
Counselor Thornton.
Aye.
Counselor Holloway.
Aye.
Counselor Rocky.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries, thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, moving on, Public Works, Larry. What do you guys want? It's just getting good.
Thanks again, Mayor, Council. I'll be quick. The
the business at the cemetery, continues to evolve, you know, from what we may be accustomed as, some of us were much younger, and a full burial service, you know, and all that too, and then, now we're at columbariums. Very nice structure at the cemetery. If you're not familiar, you buy your final spot, and that's where you're at, and name gets engraved on there and stuff. In 2016, you know, the council wasn't sure. I talked to former councilor Campbell about it, you know, how this came to be. Generally speaking, council, you buy two matching, and then the next two are, you know, symmetrical, and, you know, but aesthetically it looks good. What I bring to you today is to buy the second of the two that we know we need. We're 75% sold out, so we continue to sell those at a pretty good rate. And there are 48 units. The original purchase was around that 10,600 mark in 2016. Today, you're looking at about 17,000. I would consider that a reasonable cost increase over the, you know, 8 years, going on 9 years. So the vendor still has one with the light color and style, which is great that we can get a matching set forever and ever. And then we would be better apt to competitively bid in the future. We did reach out to our friends at the City Hibbing, and they have an 80 unit that they just purchased, 80 unit that they recently purchased, and that was over $30,000. So when you do about the same per unit, it's right there within the ballpark. So
they can't keep theirs for a year or two.
yeah. So and this one's available, and we will be looking at a cost assessment, but it's gonna take a little bit more research. We actually get about $23,000 for this $17,000 unit at this rate, but it does cost money to operate a cemetery, so we can offset that. So that's why I'm here today, asking for your, I kind of streamlined it there at the bottom. We'd be looking for a motion to buy the columbarium from Create a Legacy at $12,936, and pay for it out of the Cemetery Improvement Fund, which is a locked fund, which the council has to unlock and allow, and it doesn't hurt the general fund, and we're at our current budget, so.
Okay. Council, unless there's any questions for Larry, I'd look for a motion to approve the purchase of the second columbarium for the cemetery at $16,936.
From the fund.
From the fund.
Yes.
From the Cemetery Improvement Fund.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? Susan?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolata.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Howard.
Aye.
Counselor Vati.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Bridget, good evening.
Good evening. I have a couple job postings. I'm looking for approval to post and hire. Hire is not necessarily written in, I think, both of these memos, but that's what we did last year, request to, for you to approve the job posting and to hire. The first one is on page 76. It's the, youth center attendance. That would be up to 3, but 2 is what we had last year, and I think 2 is sufficient.
Okay, council. If there's nothing else, I would look for a motion to approve the youth center attendant job posting.
Make the motion?
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, are we
Yes.
also approving the hire or just the post?
I'm requesting approval to hire as well.
Can we do those in two separate? Or do that one? Okay, Susan, would you take a roll call, please?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolata.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halva.
Aye.
Counselor Vati.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Okay, now council, I would be looking for a motion to approve the hiring for the youth center attendant.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? Susan?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Alba.
Aye.
Counselor Massey.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries.
The next one is for the skating rink attendance. Nothing has changed on this job posting or pay scale from last year, and so I'm asking for approval to post and to hire for up to 4 skating rink attendants.
Okay. All right, council, I would look for a motion to approve the job posting and hiring for the skating rink job attendants.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support?
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Or Susan, would you please?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Alba.
Aye.
Counselor Massey.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
The next one is to approve for hiring Rich Neubauer for the flag football coordinator at the amount of lump sum $595 for this season.
All right, council.
I'll make the motion.
Asset. Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Alba.
Aye.
Counselor Massey.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries.
On page 87, the next item I have is to ask you for approval to enter into contract with Kimley Horn for Longyear Lake Master Planning. This funding is in the budget already, and so we've just finally narrowed down the right person for the position and for the contract, and it is for $15,000 for Lake Park Planning.
Okay, council, I would look for a motion to approve that contract for $15,000 with Kimley Horn Park Master Planning Agreement.
Motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Second.
Thank you, April. Any further discussion? Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Alba.
Aye.
Counselor Massey.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye.
The final resolution tonight is for your support in the Northern Tracks ATV Club request to MnDOT for limited use permit, which will allow them to go under Highway 169, which we discussed in the former discussions of this trail. And we just need to show to MnDOT that we are supportive of Northern Tracks adding a trail under 169 from the Bruce Mine.
Excellent. Council, I would look for a motion and support for resolution 0823-54.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support?
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I did mention this to Larry, and I think it's worth checking into. I think we have to make sure we leave the railroad tracks in place under the bridge. I think that's quite an important issue for, they can't remove the railroad tracks that are there. They can work around them, I think fill on them, but they can't remove them. Check with Bob Manzoli on the reasoning.
I'm unaware of this topic, but I will bring it.
I mentioned it to Larry, but it bears making sure everybody understands that.
Thank you, Marty. Susan?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Alba.
Aye.
Counselor Mackey.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, you have one more.
One more.
What?
Yeah. IRRR Trails and Grants Program. There's so much on there. too busy.
I didn't re-review that one, okay.
If you don't have it in front of you,
I
so,
don't even know where it is. Okay.
so we have resolution number 0823-55, which is an application to IRRR Trails and Grant Program.
The one that I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
I'm asking for approval to apply for that IRRR Regional Trails Grant, for master planning, which will bring us to the phase that we need to be at to get that regional trails designation, and for just connectivity projects, yeah, 500,000.
500. Very good. Council, I would look for a motion support for resolution 0823-55.
Motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Is there any further discussion? Susan?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries.
Good
Thank you,
job.
Bridget.
Good work.
My
Yeah,
best
very
on
good.
that one. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Katie, welcome back.
Yes, hi. All right, on page 103, looking to adopt resolution 0823-56 for a monetary donation to be earmarked for the Chisholm Library in the amount of $185 from Pamela Abraham and her family. And that donation is made in loving memory of John Abraham.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Paula and family. Council, I'd look for a motion approval of resolution 0823-56 and to send Paula Abraham and family a thank you letter.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Second.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Sorry, April, you weren't quick enough. Any other? No. Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye.
All right, and then the next one, resolution number 0823-57, another donation from Kathy Asman in the amount of $25, also in loving memory of John Abraham.
It's been a hell of a guy. So, Council, I would look for a motion to support, approve resolution 0823-57 and send Kathy Asman and family a thank you letter.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right, and then the last one is resolution number 0823-58 to accept a donation from Brian and Sue Matuzak in the amount of $150 for promotion materials and supplies to support the WPA Federal Art Project presentation that will be taking place in September at the library.
Excellent. The Council, I would look for a motion and support for 0823-58 and a thank you letter to Brian and Sue Tuzak.
Make the
Motion.
Thank you, Travis.
support.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Eileen, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. So I respectfully request council's adoption of the resolution to accept grant funding from the state of Minnesota. This particular resolution recognizes and specifies the funds as general obligation from the state of Minnesota, and it also recognizes our submission of the general obligation bonds proceeds grant agreement to the state. And requesting your adoption of this resolution for this grant.
Thank you, Eileen. Council?
Motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McElrath. Aye. Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Howella.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Great, thank you, council. The second resolution is to accept funds from the general funds of the state of Minnesota. It also recognizes our acceptance and submission of the general fund grant agreement to the state of Minnesota, and to accept grant funds in the amount of $3 million, not to exceed $3 million.
Excellent. Council, look for motion support, resolution 0823-60.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further? Susan?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McElrath.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Howella.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Eileen. Always exciting to get to accept $4 million, right?
You're right.
4.9.
Right.
Okay, Stephanie. Good evening.
Good evening. As we've discussed in the past, we did have a couple items on the public safety building that were not in the original bid. Solar panels are a requirement for the B3, the specific ones that you have in your packet. I have worked with AP to get this quote. It does fulfill the B3 requirements. We have been approved by them to be able to move forward with this specific product. We did look at a couple different ones that didn't fit the bill as well as these did. The total cost for the for this system is $46,804. I'm looking for approval for the solar panels to move forward with the purchase.
Make the motion.
Okay.
Support.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? Thank you for your hard work.
Oh, just got a quick question,
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor.
go ahead.
Is there we'll just, quickly looking through here, is there a warranty, and then, are they gonna charge extra for putting in, or, if something happens to any of them, there's, like I said, is there a warranty or anything with these?
On page 114, it looks like a 12-year limited product warranty, 25-year limited power warranty. And I'm sure there's probably
Yes,
a number.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Any further discussion? Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McElrath.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Howella.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Okay, council, this next one Stephanie has, this is the one that had the added couple items on the back of it.
Council, yes, I apologize. I didn't realize the whole benchmark proposal didn't make it into the packet. If you're comfortable with moving forward with it today, we can do so. If not, we can hold off to the next council meeting so you can look at that proposal in more in depth. But what it is, it's the Wenton edition, the architectural, the engineering plans to move forward with the infrastructure on Wenton edition in the amount of $74,280. I do have a grant application into IRRR for that amount. If we do not get that full amount from IRRR, I do have additional funds in the economic development, professional services budget that would be able to fill that gap. So what we're doing is trying to get that project ready to go to bid so we can move forward with the Wenton Edition new housing development. But as I said, I apologize, that one sheet didn't make it into the packet, so if you're not comfortable moving forward tonight, we can hold off, but if you are, or if you have questions, let me know.
Bethany, is it lump sum or hourly billing? Because they provide the billing rates, I think.
Right, they did, yep.
Hourly rates for the fall.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, April.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, you want to make the motion? Sorry. Okay. Thank you very much, April. If we can get support, and then we can go back into discussion.
I'll make the second.
Thank you, Marty. Further discussion?
Jim, is it, or Marty, you can probably answer this too. Is it pretty typical for all of the exclusions to be exclusions in these?
What page are you on, Kevin?
Page 2 of the. Oh, Jim.
Do you have the new packets that given?
Here, Jim.
There's a page missing, Jim.
Under the lump sum there, the exceptions, exclusions, is that pretty standard? I guess that's my only concern is that that would add up, or could add up
Yeah.
rather quickly.
For design, seems reasonable. What do you think?
Oh, the outside services.
Or the exceptions.
On the bottom of page 2.
Yes.
Okay, alright, just wanted to make sure. I'm all for the project, just wanted to make sure that's all.
Okay. There's nothing else. Susan, would you please take roll call vote?
Counselor Halverson,
Aye.
Counselor Nicolaraha,
Aye.
Counselor Thompson,
Aye.
Counselor Halaba,
Aye.
Counselor Baki,
Aye.
Mayor Lane.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, council, this was the addition that was added to the packet here.
So, I had received a recommendation from the fire department on this Plymouth vehicle exhaust system. This is another item that was included in the FF&E of the purchase of the building. It wasn't in the base bid. I may have to look to Mayor Lance to give a little background of this exhaust system that we'll be looking at putting into the building. We're looking at a purchase price of $109,972. I did speak to our contractor today, asking for competitive bids on like products. He said this is the company that supplies this. If we need to go back out and try to find something different, we can also do that. But to my understanding, Plymouth is the company that manufactures this such equipment.
Yeah, and some of these, there are very limited individuals that do the work. Again, this is another needed tool inside of our public safety building, cancer-causing agents, exhaust. Anyone that wants to come down to the current building can see when we start our vehicles, the exhaust goes right onto our gear that we wear. And if we're just taking it out, it goes right into the police apparatus office, so it's something that's every department is looking into, and it needs to be done. It just makes everybody's life better and safer. It's not a total fix, but it's just another tool to help relieve some of those cancer-causing agents that are around us when we are working on our equipment, when we're starting and coming and going. I will say that with this $109,000, this will get us set. If you did read in there that it does not have everything for the ambulance apparatus, so that would be an add-on later. The control, the top mount, the exhaust system that goes along the ceiling would be in place, but the drop-down hangers and the parts that actually hook on to the exhaust of the apparatus would not be included in that. So that would be something that we'd have to add on later.
Good question, Aaron.
Yes.
In this Bay 1, they said they were making an assumption that.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Diesel, I don't know, is that important for this, or?
It's not, and they are assuming that we are going diesel, and when that is not our intention or
Right,
plan.
right.
So, it's just,
As long as it's compatible with our gas engines, would be fine.
yeah. I think other departments we're very busy, but other agencies that are, your apparatus is running constantly, you're traveling a lot more, diesels are, needed and wanted, but up here, it's just, for our stopping and going. So that would have to be revisited, and that's not our intention, is to have a diesel. exhaust system here for the apparatus bay of the ambulances. So, unless there's any more questions, I would look for a motion to approve the, purchase of the system for $109,972. This will start this, obviously with everything that we have been doing and working on with the public safety building. Supply and demand is key, and lead times are getting out there, so.
So I just have one question, I guess. Why wouldn't we just do the ambulance now? Why not just include it?
They didn't have the correct information in the bid for it. So we actually have to have TIV work with this.
Oh, okay, so
from
that's
the-
not an accurate
Yeah.
amount. Got it.
Yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
that is everything, the setup besides the drop down hangers
Got
for
it.
the ambulance.
All right,
But
very good.
So I look for a motion and support.
Make a motion?
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? Susan?
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McElrath.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Aye.
Counselor Batty.
Aye.
Mayor Lang.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, moving on under myself, we are going to look at scheduling a budget working session.
I do have some recommendations sometimes. Eileen's going on vacation, so, I'm not sure if we'll be able to work around this, but we're thinking either Monday, August 14th, or Wednesday, August 23rd. Either one of those dates would work to have our budget. You can do the 23rd.
23rd is fine with me.
I can make the 23rd work, if we could have it at, 18, or at 6 o'clock instead of our normal 5:30. That way if anybody wanted to be able to get over to the, public input for the, Fifth Street project, you can at least sit in there for an hour.
Yep.
What do you think of that?
6 PM on August 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
Works for me.
April?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
That works for you?
That works.
Okay. And 6 o'clock, so I would look for a motion to schedule that working session, budget working session, for Wednesday, August 23rd at 6 PM in the council chambers.
Motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Any further discussion? Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McElrath.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Aye.
Counselor Batty.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries. Next would be to schedule a special meeting on August 30th, 2023. This will be to host the public hearing at the council chambers at 5 PM. This will be a special meeting, so council action can be taken, and we will need a quorum.
Is this for Fifth Street?
Yes.
Yep.
So I would look for a motion and support.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Mr. Mayor, I'll be out of town that day. Second.
Okay. We do have to have it by the end of the month, so I think as long as we can get 3 or 4 others, should be all right. Is everybody else free that day?
I am not at the moment, but I might be. Let's see if I can make it switch.
Okay. Marty, how's your schedule?
Can make it.
Okay. April?
I will, probably
Zoom?
via Zoom.
I can zoom in, probably.
Okay, we'll have to play that one by ear. Okay. That was a motion by Cheyenne. Who had support that?
I'll support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McElrath.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Aye.
Counselor Batty.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries. Just finish set my calendar there. Okay, moving on. Solomon's Treasure ATV Poker Run fundraiser event. This was put on last year. The Masawa Masonic Lodge 255 of Hibbing and the Northern Tracks ATV Club of Chisholm are presenting the Solomon's Treasure ATV Poker Run fundraiser event on October 14th, 2023, seeking permission to barricade off Lake Street on the block of Jim Sports Club from the hours of 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the day of this event. And they would also like to request a police and fire department escort from Jim Sports Club to the trailhead of the Chisholm Grant Aid. They also visited our fire department the other day, and with some of the proceeds, what they want to do is help buy some tools. Actually, one of the a fire resistive or it's almost like a grenade. You throw it inside a building, and it actually blows up and sucks out all the oxygen. It's supposed to snuff out the fire, so at least more responding personnel can get there and hopefully prevent further damage and life safety.
Cool.
So I would look for a motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McElrath.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain. Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Okay, moving on, miscellaneous. Anything anyone wants to add or discuss or bring to anyone's attention? No? If not, I would look for a motion to adjourn the council meeting.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? Susan, if you would.
Counselor Halverson.
Aye.
Counselor McElrath.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Halaba.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Mayor Lance.
Aye. Motion carries. Everybody have a good night.